Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be looking at different ways and easier ways of solving equations again. So we're looking at three different types: rewriting, undoing, and looking inside. And lucky for us, we've already done the first one, which is rewriting. And the last week we've been working at all of the different individual ones. And today we're just going to call it a new term, which is rewriting the problem in a different way. So we call this fraction busting. It's what we looked at yesterday. It's also where we multiply or divide the same numbers to all terms on both sides of the equation. And then my favorite, as you guys know, it's also magic unicorn. So those are the three different terms that we've already worked on, which is called rewriting. And we're going to go ahead and review a fraction busting and a magic unicorn. So here we have a fraction problem, and our first step is to bust those fractions, which is finding a common denominator. So we have a 2 and a 5 and a 1. So I know that 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, the first number that all of them will go into evenly is 10, because 2 goes into 10 evenly and 5 goes into 10 evenly. So we're going to go ahead and multiply all three terms on both sides of the equation by 10. Now we're going to go ahead and simplify. We take the denominator, ask how many times it goes into the numerator, and then multiply it by what's left in our parentheses. So 2 goes into 10 5 times, and 5 times x is 5x. For our second one, 5 goes into 10 twice, and 2 times 1 is positive 2. And lastly, there's no denominator, so we just have 10 times 3, which is 30. At this point, we just solve normally, subtract 2 from both sides, 5x is 28. Divide both sides by 5, and we get 28 fifths, or 5 2/3 for our problem. Now, magic unicorn is the technique that we learned a few days ago, and it's when we have our exponent is where our variable is. So our power up there in this upper right-hand corner is where we find our x value that we're solving for. So in order to make the magic unicorn happen, we have to have the base the same. So we have a 5 and a 25 in this case. So we need them both to be this smaller base. And we're really lucky because we know that 5 squared is equal to 25. So we rewrite, the left stays the same. Instead of 25, we write 5 squared, which is equivalent, and we multiply by what was already there, which is x. Now the magic unicorn comes, and it glitters everywhere, and those 5s fade away. And we simply rewrite what's left in the powers. So we have x plus 1 is equal to 2x. We're just going to subtract x from both sides, and that leaves us with x is equal to 1. So once again, we already learned how to do these techniques. Our next technique, we've also learned how to do. It's usually the normal way that we solve problems, which is undoing. It's doing the opposite operations than we use for parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, and addition, subtraction. So we're going the reverse. Now we're solving for x, so we're undoing everything until we have x. So here I have x plus 1 squared, and so I'm asking what's the opposite operation of squaring a number. And the opposite operation of squaring a number is taking the square root. Now whatever we do to one side of the equation, we do to the other. So we're going to go ahead and take the square root of both sides of our equation. So we have our square and our square root, which undo each other. So all we have left on that side is x plus 1. And then we have the square root of 81, which is plus or minus 9. And that's because 9 times 9 is 81, but negative 9 times negative 9 is also 81. At this point, we split up our problem into two different answers, one with a positive 9 and one with a negative 9. So we have x plus 1 is equal to 9 and x plus 1 is negative 9. Now we just solve both of these normally. We subtract 1 from both sides, and we have x is 8 for one of our answers, and subtract 1 from both sides for our other one, and x is negative 10. You've actually just solved a parabola using a different technique. So these are the two roots where our parabola is going to cross the x-axis. Oh, and that makes me realize the magic word today is avocado. Avocados are delicious right now. I hope you guys are staying healthy and eating some good healthy food. If you're not a fan of avocado, start with guacamole. You'll get there. It's delicious. Our very last technique is called looking inside. And it's really just looking at solving a problem in a different way. And I call it the what method. Some people call it the blob method. So here I have a problem. 2x plus 1 all divided by 2 is equal to 12. So your what is where the x is located. So here it's my entire numerator is my what. And then I answer the question, what divided by 2 is equal to 12? And so this is an easy question for you to answer. Well, what divided by 2 is 12? And that, of course, is 24. So in this technique, we know that whatever is underneath that question mark is equal to 24 because that's what makes this statement true. So we set whatever's there underneath that question mark equal to 24 and solve for x. So in this case, we have 2x plus 1 is equal to 24. Subtract 1 from both sides. 2x is 23. Divide both sides by 2. And we have x is equal to 11.5 or 11 and a half. And that's called the Blob method. Let's give it one more try just because it's a little bit different than what we're used to. Here I have 2 plus x plus 5 is equal to 8. Now our blob is wherever that x is. So, and it's what the parentheses is, which is x plus 5. So we rewrite this as 2 plus what is equal to 8. And we know 2 plus 6 is equal to 8. So all we have to do is set what underneath our what or whatever's underneath our question mark and set it equal to 6 and solve. So in this case, we have x plus 5 is equal to 6. We subtract 5 from both sides, and we know that x is equal to 1. So easy peasy, it's just taking your brain and making you think about it in a different way. Next, we have our Desmos assignment where you guys are going to practice this different methods, and then you have your Khan Academy assignment as well. Tomorrow is our last day before spring break, and you guys are going to finish up with a really fun quiz. Woo woo! I hope you guys are doing well. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.